advance the meeting, and so we will move on to public participation. And the first one is the Tuesday Club, Gary Moore and Rosemary Neve, who are zooming in from different places. So we'll wait. Rosemary hasn't come online yet, Gary, so...
No, she's here.
She is. Okay, all right.
She's just coming. She's just turning the radio off in the next room.
Oh, I see. Right. So she's come to join you.
All the way from... What's that?
She's come to join you. That's perfect. Thank you. So we'll hand over to you.
Hang on. Right. Kia ora, Mayor and Councillors. Thank you for accepting our delegation today. The Tuesday Club had a Zoom meeting, which I think many of you attended, and we had 126 people there. And we had the chairs of infrastructure from Invercargill, Dunedin, Christchurch, and the Mayor of Huinga community. We followed it up with those who had spoken, and others joined us from around the country. And eventually we had people from the far north to Invercargill participate. And what we found was that councils were all concerned, and different councils had researched different things. And for instance, the Mayor of Whangarei shared with us the engineering report that their council had undertaken. The Mayor of Hastings shared a regional model that they had put a lot of effort into in that area, which actually is a very good model that I think we should all have a hard look at. But during our conversations, we arrived at a few points, and so now that Rosemary is here, and I'll leave it. Right.
Yes, this is essentially, we worked on this, but everybody had feedback on this. These are the points. We support the government's higher standards for Three Waters infrastructure, but we challenge the funding and the governance models. That a local or regional Three Waters model should include co-governance with iwi mana whenua and should be locally and regionally co-created. The work on the proposed 4-entity model should be suspended or abandoned for now. First of all, we're saying the government should conclude or at least commence the local government reform work, including the important issue of funding for local government before any consideration to move further into this. And that the government release the local LGNZ from the heads of agreement in its current form for the next little bit. And that local government work together with LGNZ, iwi mana whenua and councils to co-create policy and governance options that will achieve the improved outcomes with a priority on local and regional solutions that respect, enhance democratic process. And along with this, that a range of options to deliver the best outcomes for communities co-created between the government, iwi and local government. You want to say this one?
So in the conversations, there were a number of points. This was one that Pauline's very strong on, challenging the pretext that any option must require a balance sheet separation, and also challenging the benefits of such large-scale proposals, and questioning that just a single option had been put forward, and challenging the accuracy, and I might say as an accountant, this is the bit that offended me the most, the accuracy or robustness of the financial assumptions, because, boy, they are in the mythical category. So one of the things, Mayor and Councillors, I have to say at the start, this is the worst bit of proposed changes to local government that I've seen in my time being interested in local government. I think that the really important thing is to insist that the reform of local government, review of local government, be conducted first. Because if you look at Mike Richardson's summary, which is superb, and I recommend you all to look at it, he was former chief executive of the council. We seconded Mike to internal affairs because we've never got good policy out of internal affairs as local government. We seconded him to internal affairs for a year throughout the 2002 Act, and that's why it's written the way it is. So read Mike's summary. And I listened to, a number of you probably listened on your radio on the way into Radio New Zealand, where the guy was actually advocating that water come under regional councils. Now, I happen to be I have a big question mark over regional councils, but Rosemary touching me in the ribs because she likes it. But one of the things I'd like to leave you with, this is the start. It's not the finish. This is going to require us all to be part of a campaign. We're happy in the Tuesday Club as a neutral body to actually do that, but it's really, it really is the start. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, look, I'm sure that there'll be some questions. I just have one really following on from that comment. I didn't hear the commentary this morning about regional councils, but we don't really have a regional layer of government in New Zealand, do we? I mean, we have regional environmental protection agencies, which is a completely different model from the suggestion that we have regional councils. So that was a nod. I mean, because
we can't see that nod.
Oh no, it was you nodding. You would accept that.
Yeah, she's talking to you.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. You're looking away from the screen, so I'm thinking you're talking to Dawn.
No, I need to look at the camera then. Where's the camera? Hi. Right. I'm looking at you. Would you say that we don't have a regional layer of government in New Zealand? We never have. Well, we haven't.
We used to.
Not since provincial councils.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. Has anyone else got some questions for members of the Tuesday Club or the conveners of the Tuesday Club? James Goff.
Thanks, Gary. I guess just any quick comment on your views on the officer and mayoral recommendations that we've got in front of us specifically, appreciating everything that you've said.
I think they're very good. And I actually think the mayor's letter to the minister is superb, and I printed the whole thing in the Tuesday Club notes last night.
No, I totally agree. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Anything else? No? Look, thank you very much, both Gary and Rosemary. Thank you very much for making the effort. I'm sorry that it wasn't possible to arrange for you to come in. We would have all been wearing masks, as would have you, and I think you've been able to articulate the issues that have been raised at the Tuesday Club very well through the Zoom mechanism. So thank you very much for making that concession so that we can be in compliance with the order in council. Thank you.
And look, the most important for you all to realise is you're not in this on your own. And that's when we joined everybody up, people were relieved to talk to other councils. So keep it up.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we don't have... No.
You'd leave it. And then you can organise.
So what I'm going to do just quickly then, just to complete the deputations, is just to touch on the Mike Richardson submission, which has been published on our on the meeting agenda, but it's on our website. But I just wanted to highlight it because right at the very outset he says that it's unusual, though not unprecedented, for a council to receive a submission from an individual who resides outside of its boundaries and has no current material interest there. And he talked about when he did live here, and of course, as Gary said, he was the council's chief executive for a number of years and was significantly involved in the development of the 2002 local government legislation. But he does say, much to my surprise, I have since received a request from a member of the CCC to make a similar submission to this council, and that was off the back of the one that he submitted to the Manawatu. And so I'm letting you all know publicly that it was me that contacted him after reading the Manawatu submission. I felt that he actually had quite a significant contribution that he could make to our consideration of the matter. He's added a disclaimer in the sense that he understood issues in his time at Christchurch City Council but hasn't been here the best part of 2 decades, as he says, and of course the earthquakes in between. But I just wanted to make sure that councillors were fully aware of the significance of his statement around process, analysis and consideration of alternatives. And he spells that out because at the time, and he spells out the need for a staged process of consultation with key stakeholders. Best practice has generally been acknowledged as involving stakeholders in agreeing the terms of reference and identifying the aims of the exercise and the design of the process itself, underpinned by rigorous analysis of options, outcomes, costs and benefits. And that was the nub of the advice that he offered the Manawatu, that I'm really pleased that he has now reflected for us here. One of the objectives of the 2002 Local Government Act was to end what was a bad practice, i.e. developing a detailed proposal based on little analysis and then releasing it for consultation as a fait accompli. But it's ironic, as he said, that the government's Three Waters proposal breaches these hard-won principles as established over the last 30 years in terms of process for developing good public policy and engaging with stakeholders. And I just think, I know that not everyone has read the 305 pages of the regulatory impact analysis. I have, and one of the challenges that we have in front of us is that none of the options have been consulted with local government. There's only one option that has been consulted with local government, and as Mike Richardson says, this breaches the fundamental best practice in terms of the way that we approach these things. He has identified the significance of the issues facing Christchurch, and talked about the issues in relation to whether the challenges that have been identified in some parts of the country actually relate to the urban environment in the way that is implied. So I just want to thank Mike for agreeing to send through this information. He has highlighted the fact that we are a city built on a low-lying swamp with unstable soils prone to liquefaction. There are huge challenges here in terms of stormwater systems requiring gradients as they operate essentially under gravity. He's gone all the way through all of these issues in relation to two waters versus stormwater, and that's a big issue for me as we go forward from here. And he's made it pretty clear that that there are significant challenges as confront our council, and in terms of process, this has not been one that has actually taken us to a good place. Centralisation of decision making away from local government is contrary to the subsidiarity principle, which is long accepted in liberal democracy. It reduces community identity and autonomy, and thereby undermining the sense of autonomy and well-being not only of communities but also the individuals within them. So I think that's a fair summary of the presentation that he might have made if he'd been willing to come in for a briefing, for a Zoom rather. So I'm not sure whether I don't think we need to resolve to accept those, do we? No. And so there's no presentation of petitions, and now I'd like to invite staff to come